Describing Learning Context by the third group of Teaching English for Foreign Language. Hi, we are the members of the group. The first is Kadek Dwi Darmaniti from C Class. The second is Nyoman Visakhadevi from C Class. The third is Putu, Angelina, Nirmala, Pradnyani from C Class. And the last is Kadek Mahendra from A Bangli Class. Here is a quote as an opening. Learn as if you were to live forever, from Mahatma Gandhi. Let's move to the table of contents. The first is the place and mean of instruction, the second class size, and then managing mixed ability, and the last is monolingual, bilingual, and multilingual. So those of contents will be brought by the presenters. Let's get started. The place and means of instruction.
Schools and language schools. A huge number of students learn English in primary and secondary classrooms around the world. They have not chosen to do this themselves, but learn because English is on the curriculum. Private language schools, on the other hand, tend to be better equipment than some government schools, though this is not always the case. In schools and in company, the vast majority of language classes in the world take place in educational institutions such as the schools and language schools we have already mentioned, and in addition college and universities. A number of companies offer language classes and expect teachers to go to the company office or factory to teach. Here the classroom may not be quite as appropriate as those which are specially designed for teaching and learning, but more importantly, the teacher may need to negotiate the class content, not only with the student but also with whoever is paying for the tuition. Real and virtual learning environments. Language learning has traditionally involved a teacher and a student or student being in the same physical space. However, the development of high-speed internet access has helped to bring about new virtual learning environments. Virtual learning is significantly different from face-to-face learning for a number of reasons. Firstly, for the most part, students can attend lessons when they want, though real-time chat forums have to be scheduled, rather than when lessons are timetabled, as in schools. Secondly, it no longer matters where the students are since they can log on from any location in the world. Online learning may have this advantage, but some of the benefits of real learning environments are less easy to replicate electronically.
I will continue the presentation. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nyoman Visakhadevi, and today I will share about class size. Class size has two points. The first is teaching one-on-one, and the second is large classes. Okay, first let's talk about teaching one-to-one. Teaching one-to-one is that students who work along with a teacher are often referred to as private classes. Such one-to-one teaching is very popular, especially among business students, but it's also ideal for students who can fit into the normal school's schedule or who want to get individual attention rather than being a part of a group. One-to-one teaching has considerable advantages offer classes with 2 or more students in group. First, if in individual groups, students only get some of the teacher attention. In private lesson, the teacher only focus on one person. In addition, one-to-one students get excellent feedback from their teachers. It's also much easier to be flexible when teaching individual students than when managing a class. Teaching one-to-one has several guidelines such as: the first is make a good impressions. First impressions count with group of any size, but are especially important when teaching one-to-one with no group to help create an atmosphere the way students perceive the teachers at their first encounter is of vital importance. This is especially so since one-to-one courses are of relatively short duration and there will be less time to change a student misconception. The second is be well prepared. One of most important ways of creating a good impression is to show the student that we are well prepared and that we have given to what we are going to do in the lesson. The third is be flexible. One-to-one lesson provide enormous opportunities for flexibilities for the reasons stated above. If a student is beginning to get tired, for example, it is not difficult to suggest a 2-minute break involving getting up and walking around. If a planned topic is failing to arouse the student interest, it is relatively easy to switch or to something else or to ask the student whether they would like to approach the topic in another way. Okay, next is adapt to the students. Adapt to one of the great benefit of one-to-one lesson is that we can adapt what we do to suit particular students' preference and learning style. Next is listen and watch. Adapting to students can only take place if we are extremely observant about how individual students respond to the different activities, style, and contents. One-to-one teacher need to listen just as much as they talk. Indeed, the balance should always be in favor of listening, but we can also ask students to tell us how they are getting on, what they need more or less of, and what they would like. Okay, the next is the give explanation and guidelines. When we first meet one-to-one students, it is important to explain what is going to happen and how the students can contribute to the program they are involved in. It is important to lay down guidelines about what they can expect the teacher to do. The last is don't be afraid to say no. One-to-one teaching is not to be afraid to say no in two specific situations. Personality matches with students sometimes don't work at all. Usually we can work all around with by being very professional, keeping a distance between ourselves and students, and letting out or course content push the issue forward successfully. Sometimes things don't work in such rare situations. Teachers should be prepared to stop classes or hope that the institution they work for will make alternative arrangement for themselves and students. Okay, the second is large classes. Some people talk about large classes as a problem, and it is centrally true that they present challenges that smaller classes do not. However, there are also many benefits to teaching large classes. As Natalie has pointed out, in large classes there are always enough students to get interaction going, and there is a rich variety of human resources. Furthermore, there are many possible teachers, one in the class, and as she said, we will never get bored because the challenge is great. Alright, that's all about my presentations. The next material will bring by my friends. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kadek Dwi Darmaniti and I am from C class. Well, I'm gonna bring materials about managing mixed ability. Why do we need managing mixed ability? Well, students has different abilities and a language level, such as different language knowledge, different intelligence, different learning speed, and different learning style and preference. In private language school and language institution, we try to make this situation manageable by giving students placement tasks so they can be put into classes with people who are at roughly the same level as they are. Within other school environment, students are often streamed. That is the regrouped for language lesson according to their abilities. In other situations, however, such placement and streaming are not possible, and so teachers are faced with individuals. Well, here is a question. What the teachers need to do? Well, the first is working with different content. Giving students different content is an ideal way to differentiate the students' ability, that is, provide them different materials based on their individual needs. For example, we might give student A text from an English language newspaper about a certain topic. Student B might be directed to a website to the same topic, but where the information is not so dense. And then the student C, might look at simplified reader on the topic, and we might provide the student D with a short text that we ourselves have written on the subject. Well, the next is different student action. If we cannot give the students different materials, we can instead get them to do different things in response to the contents that they are looking at. The first is give students different tasks, and then we also can give the student different role, and then reward the early finisher, and then encourage different students respond, and then the last is identify student strength, whether it is in linguistic or in non-linguistic. What teacher does? As teachers, we will treat different students differently, whether we are working in a whole class, with a smaller group, or with individuals. How do we do that? Alright, so first is responding to the student. During lesson, we frequently have to respond to student, giving their feedback about how they are doing or acting as a research or tutor. And then the second one is being inclusive. A big danger for students in mixed ability classes is that some of them may get left behind or may become disengaged with what is happening. If we spend a lot of time with the higher level students in class, the students who are less linguistically able may feel they are being ignored and become demotivated as a result. And then the last is flexible grouping. we can group students for a number of tasks. Sometimes we might put them in different groups so that each group can do different tasks. We might group them so that different groups can read different texts depending on the difficulties of the text. So the last is a realistic mixed ability teaching. So there are two questions here. The first is it difficult to have time and opportunity to work with individuals all time? How if it is a large class? And then the second is what thing do we need to underline here? So well guys, in an ideal classroom, we would have time and opportunity to work with individuals as individuals all the time. However, this is extremely difficult in large classes. If we teach in overcrowded classes, it will be difficult to set up different corners in the room where different students can go to perform different tasks. On the other hand, if the school is equipped with a well-stocked self-access center where students can go and work individually on a range of material they are available there, then it will be much easier to build individual learning programs into the curriculum. One thing that we need to underline here is we need to remember that there are times when we want to teach the class as a whole, class and individually. This may be because we want to build the group identity, or it may be because we believe that everyone in the group should learn at the same thing or be offered the same information. So here we must like a 50-50, we must like a concentrate on the higher level and also the lower level too, so they will feel fair. Well guys, so that's all the material that I can bring here, and then the next material will be brought by my friend Mahendra. Time is yours.
Okay, thanks for your time. I'm Kadek Mahendra, number of student 2011, 17, 10, 21 from A Bangli Class. So, I would like to continue presentation from Dwi Darmaniti, and I have material that are monolingual, bilingual, and multilingual. And the first, I would like to explain what is a monolingual, bilingual, and multilingual. So, language has been described as conferring symbols that contain meaning and also the rules for combining this symbol. So the definition, monolingual is ability to speak just one language. For example, maybe in Spain, Russian, and other. And bilingual, ability to speak two languages, and multilingual several languages. And continue to foreign language student in their first language. There are some powerful arguments in favor of English classroom, as we have suggested, in cases where students have different first language backgrounds. Such a Polish may be the only realistic option. Nevertheless, some kind of ban on the use of a person language one seems opportune for a number of reasons. In the first place, it seems probably that our identity is shaped to some extent by the language for our language we learn as children. This is the case when children are brought up monolingual, or more commonly bilingual, where they often have a home language and a public language. Whether we like it or not, students in our classroom are going to be operating both in their first language and in the language they are studying. So let's continue to the benefit of using the L1 in the L2 classroom. There are many options when using the student L1 in the classroom has obvious advantages. For example, the first from the Jarvis the Journey 2002 suggests its use in planning, self-evaluation, and learner training, where if the teacher speaks the student L1, the topic can be discussed fluently. The second from Selch-Deller 2003 suggests that, among other things, it is useful for students to notice difference between their L1 in the target language. And that's from Daniel Linder, 2002, suggests a number of translation activities produced in the general classroom. This includes translation of short text and a translation summary of a longer text. And the last from Boris Nemeshin, 2002. Echoing our earlier comment about language used in the modern world, sees translation as the fifth skill after reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So continue to disadvantage of using the L1 in the L2 classroom. There are problems with an unquestioning use of the student L1 in the L2 classroom, just as there are with the idea of a total ban on its appearance. The first, of course, is that as we have pointed out, the teacher may not always serve the student. L1 or at least the L1 of all the students in the classroom. This does not mean that students will no longer make comparison between their in English. As we have said, they will do this consequently or subsequently. And the last material is taking a stand. In the legs of the previous discussion, we need to come to some conclusions about how and when to use or allow the use of the student L1 in the classroom. There are a number of points we can make. The first, acknowledge the L1, and the second, use average L1, L2 activities, and third, differentiate between levels, and the fourth, agree clear guidelines, and the last, use encouragement and persuasion.
Well guys, so we are in the end of the video. I hope all of you can get the points of our materials here. We do apologize for this imperfect video and our mistakes. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any question, please drop on the comment below. Thank you so much. Have a nice day and bye bye.